Hello friends, how are you doing? I hope good. So in today's discussion, we are going to talk about Flexbox as it is implemented in Bootstrap. I have made another video on how you can achieve this Flexbox display using vanilla CSS. I will leave the link of that video in my description box below. If you are interested, you can check it out. We are going to achieve the same effects that we have achieved in that video using Bootstrap classes today. Okay, we will see how to go about this. Alright, so let's jump into the code directly. So here I have got Visual Studio Code in front of me, and inside this I have downloaded Bootstrap locally, and I have linked the style sheets using a local reference, as well as I have referred the script at the bottom of this body element. Alright, and here I have a very basic HTML. I have a parent container, that's div element, and inside this parent container I have a bunch of div elements which are called child elements. So I have applied child class on each of these elements, and I have defined this as inline style, embedded style. So I will fill in with some properties in this style as and when required. Okay. Also, I have started this dev server on port 5500, so it's a very good extension available in Visual Studio Code. It actually allows me to see the effects live on browser. So here, as you can see here, the effect of this index.html file is displayed. Okay, so I will resize both the windows side by side so that we can get a glimpse of what's going on the fly. Alright, now to apply this display flex box, I have to apply this class dflex at the parent container level, and the moment I specify dflex, all the children element get stacked horizontally side by side. Now, in order to override this behavior, I have to specify the flex wrap property. Okay? Now the moment I specify wrap, all the elements is actually getting their own width and getting laid out in the screen only if there are available space on the screen. Now when I am resizing it, as you can see here, all the elements are getting uh, aligned and getting realigned depending upon the available spaces on the screen. Now let's make the width as 200 pixel on each of these elements. Okay, and also let's make the height property as fit content. Okay, also to make things obvious, let's specify the height on parent level as 100 VH. Now VH stands for viewport height. Okay, so what I've done is I have extended this parent div element to occupy 100% of the viewport available. Alright, now as you can see here, all the elements got laid out as per the available screen and certain space got left out in between. Alright, we will see how to override those default behaviors. Now, in Flexbox, we have discussed that we have got two concepts, major axis and minor axis, and major axis and minor axis gets defined by setting the flex direction. Here, we will set the flex direction as flex row. Now, when I set that, that means the default major axis is the major axis is x-axis, and things will get these underlying elements will get laid out from left to right. Now, if I make this row reverse, then still the major axis is x-axis, but in the opposite direction. That means it will start getting laid out from right to left. See here. Okay. Similarly, if I make it column, then the major axis could be y-axis and these children element will get laid out from top to bottom this way. If I make it column reverse, then still the major axis would be y-axis, but it would be inverted upside down. That means starting from bottom, it will get laid out to top. Okay, to keep things simple, I will keep this direction as flex row, and by saying flex row, I'm saying that keep the major axis as x-axis and start laying out this children element from left to right. Now, when I say flex wrap, I am essentially saying this flex box to push this children element down if there is no sufficient space on each of these lines. Now, when I say push the elements down, this behavior in which direction the element will be pushed is controlled by what I set as this wrap property. So, for example, if I set wrap reverse, then elements will be pushed up when there is no sufficient space on a given line. Okay, as you see here, this 1, 2, 3 element got aligned on this one line, and then when there is no sufficient space for the next line, it got pushed up. Similarly, it actually went ahead and uh, aligned all the children's element from bottom to top. Okay, all right. Now, if I want to horizontally or rather align things on major axis, I will specify justify content, and then if I say start, it will get aligned to start of the major axis point. Okay, if I change this to center, that means the alignment of major axis would be at the center level. As you can see here, now the major axis, since my major axis is x-axis, justify content center means all the elements will be aligned at a center position horizontally. Now if I change this direction property as column, then the same property center is actually affecting the major axis, which is y-axis now. Okay, so that's why when I say this justify content property, it actually impacts the major axis alignment. Okay, all right. Now, for all practical purposes, we will most of the time use direction as flex row. Okay, so I will also keep it that way for better understanding, but just keep in mind this justify content is not horizontal alignment. It is the alignment of your major axis. Similarly, the alignment of minor axis or cross axis is controlled by align content, and then you suffix it the behavior you want. Now, if I want to align all the contents uh, at center vertically, now since my minor axis is y-axis as of now, I will specify this as center, and all the elements will get aligned at center position. Okay. Now, as you might guess, all these options are available at all breakpoints. For example, this flex property is available at all the breakpoints. Now, if I make it MD, that means this Flexbox property will only be enabled when the screen size is greater than medium. Okay. Now, if you see here, until now, the screen size is not of medium. That the moment it crosses the medium size, the Flexbox property has kicked in. Okay. Similarly, all the properties, this flex direction, flex wrap, and the justification, everything is available at different breakpoints. Use as per your requirement. All right. Now, let's also specify. Okay, I will leave this ND breakpoint from here, and I will keep it as deflex. That means the flexbox property is applicable at all breakpoints. Okay, and I will keep this justify content as align content as space between. Okay, now when I say between, it actually distributes the available free space between all the lines. Now there is another interesting property, that is align content around, I believe. Yeah. Now if I make it around, then the free space will be allocated across lines, and there would be spaces at the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen. So the available space will be equally distributed between these uh, 2-3 lines, and top of the screen and bottom of the screen. Okay. Now there is something called stretch. If I specify stretch, justify content start. Now when you specify the height property, the align content stretch is overridden by the height that you have specified. So if you take out the height on children element, the align content stretch is in effect. Otherwise, it is invalid. It is ignored by browser. So for all practical purposes, I will keep this as align content between. Now I will increase the height. Okay, I will type in sub gibberish character on this one just to increase the height. Okay, yeah. Now what if I want to align these two elements at the center of the line and keep this as it is? How do I do that? To change the alignment on each of the lines, we specify this parameter called align items center. Now if I say align item center, all the elements get aligned centrally on each of these lines. Since this box is also aligned center, that's why I am not seeing any difference here. But what if I want to override this behavior on this third element? Now to override this behavior on the third element, I will specify align self, and then I will suffix with behavior that I want. So for example, I want the start on this third element. As you can see here, the third element got aligned at the top of the screen, while rest of the elements are actually aligned at the center on each of these lines. Okay. All right. Now there is something called order. Order means the priority with which the elements will be aligned on this parent container. So let's say I specify the order as 2 on this element. let's say I specify order 1. Now if you see the effect, this element actually got shifted at the bottom. That means all the elements with order 1 got rendered first, and then came this element with order 1. Okay. Now if I specify order 1 on this element as well, then this element will also come at the bottom. Okay. All right. Now what if I want to utilize the free space on, say for example, I want to distribute this free space on this fifth element, so that fifth element expands and fills out this free space. In order to do that, I will specify one class here, that is uh, flex grow 1. As you can see here, this third element or this fifth element extended itself to fill out the whole space. Okay. Now if I specify this flex grow 1 property on the fourth element as well, then the free space is actually distributed amongst these two items equally. So that means all the items with one suffix gets the free space in equal proportion. Okay. Similarly, I can specify the flex shrink property. Okay. So that's all that you can specify at the children element, and all those elements that you have provided on parent class are available at all the breakpoints. Okay. Now you can check out the rest of the properties. These are the very basic properties around Flexbox. So if you want to know more, you can refer the Bootstrap official site, and it outlines with example all the available properties on Flexbox. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. So please feel free to leave comments with your suggestions, or if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer you out. And that was it from my side on today's video. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Bye.